And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the 5th installment of the Finish Line Formula podcast, where we give you the ingredients to not only get to the start line, but also to the finish line, because we all love finishing. We're here once again with the Noosa Marathon Boys. Let's get into it. And we are back. Welcome to the 5th episode of the FLF podcast. Welcome to the show. That new intro is banging. We got a lot of reviews saying they thought Christopher Nolan produced it, directed it, Leonardo DiCaprio starred in it. Look, it was just us four and CapCut. So appreciate the comments. It might win an Oscar next year. Who knows? We are joined once again with the NMB boys. Let the people know who you are. Sean.
Yo.
Cam.
It's me.
I'm Cameron.
And my name's Will.
Yeah, my name's Will.
Fantastic. Okay, real quick announcements. We've just wrapped up week 5. 5? 4. No, we've just wrapped up week 4. So that means we've got 14 weeks to go, which seems, what's that a percentage? 25% of the way? I don't know. I'm bad at maths. Anyway, podcast availability. We're once again on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts now. I've got all the links in the Instagram at Finish Line Formula. Go check it out. We've also got the profiles of us. So if you want to get to know us a bit more, go ahead, check that out as well. Anyway, let's get into it. So today we're talking about gear. Because this is a beginner's podcast aimed at beginners, we've had a bit of discussions off camera, asking ourselves, questioning now what, who, why is this podcast out there for you people? And what I've established is it's for you beginners that have never run before. So we had to take a step back. For me, it's taking a step back 4 or 5 years to when I first started running consistently. These guys are a bit more recent than that, and asking ourselves what gear advice would I want starting out. So we're going to get into that a bit later on, but first we're going to start with as per usual, the weekly training recap. So, Will, you've just finished your long run, I hope. I don't know. I haven't checked Strava. We're about to find out. Please take it away.
For sure. Yeah, I was a bit of a naughty boy, somewhat. I've only done a 10K today, so I'm going to pull out all the excuses today. It doesn't help that Cameron has also had the same problem as me all week, yet has done every single training session. But yeah, I think it was like Monday or something, I was feeling quite unwell throughout the week, and so kept using that as excuses to just not do any of the training sessions or following them. So I think now I've done 42 Ks for the week in total. So on Tuesday I did 7, which was meant to be 13. The next day I did nothing at all, which was meant to be 8. And then the following day after that, it was meant to be 16 kilometers. I did 19 to try and make up a little bit. And then today I've done 10 when it was meant to be like 24 or something like that. So yeah, still feeling pretty crappy and all that, but should be ready to bounce back for next week.
So can you just give the people out there a bit of a rundown in terms of, I guess, 14 weeks out, how has this week, would you say, impacted the rest of the block, if anything at all? Will?
I'm not sure if I quite understand the question. What do you mean by how is it impacted?
Like, would you say changing the training around like you have has impacted you at all with the block?
Oh, definitely. I think there's two sides to it. One is that the block has been designed in these. I think you just said in last episode where it's got these 5 week intervals in a sense, where they're meant to steadily increase and then drop off, and then steadily increase again and then drop off in terms of distance over the week. And by, for example, sake, on Tuesday, doing even 5 kilometers less than what I was meant to, it just threw me off for the rest of the week. And I'd describe it as a snowball effect. I reckon if I had just found a way to get the 13 kilometers done on Tuesday, I'd be willing to put money on the fact that I would have actually done all the runs this week. But I think because I gave myself a little bit of leeway Tuesday, it basically just made it easier for me to make excuses for the rest of the week. And I think a good testament to that is Cameron. He didn't give himself those excuses. And look, he's done all the training, and yeah, I'm very proud of him.
And that's very good, but I don't know why you're laughing.
Dad. I'm laughing at myself. I sound like a proud dad.
Well, I think one of the things we said to ourselves when we started the podcast was, and don't take this the wrong way, Will, is that we wanted to keep each other accountable. And it seems like it seems like every week, Will, you've got some excuse why you haven't followed the program.
Exactly.
What's been going on?
Yeah. I've got no answer back for that one. It's
in that case, let's leave it up to the audience. You send him outrageous DMs this week. You just berate him.
All three of you send an outrageous DM.
Just let's all berate Will this week, because it's been 4 weeks of this block, and it seems every week he's got an excuse about why he didn't follow the program. And I'm not sure if about you boys, but I'm kind of getting annoyed about it.
Look, I've got a theory.
Okay. Here we go.
Who's first?
I've got it. Yeah. I think, because I've been thinking about this as well, because one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was when I was younger, was super active, and naturally I found myself doing quite well in sport. So I used to go to districts for athletics, for swimming, for all this stuff with no training at all. And so what happened when I got out of high school is I got really lazy because I thought that all that shit would come natural to me. My theory is that because Will is a good runner, he thinks, consciously or subconsciously, that he doesn't need to do the program. And so the way that I see the program is that it's a recipe. And so if you want to bake the F-word cake, then you got to follow the recipe. And if you don't follow that recipe, then you're going to fail. And then there's a chance that you're going to look back and you're either going to go, oh, well, I didn't put my all into it. If I did, I would have won. Or there's a part of you that thinks that you can do it anyway, which is obviously not what we're trying to do here. It's just as much about the program as it is about the result.
For sure. Actually, I kind of tend to agree with that a little bit. Yeah, look, that's a good theory. Will?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to hear everyone's, and then I'll give my thoughts.
Well, I agree with Cameron somewhat, but also I think it's easy to fall into the mindset of like, oh, I can just, as long as I get the volume in or I get the kilometers in, I can just shuffle things around and make it work. But with the volume that we're hitting now, if you deviate from the way it's structured throughout the week, chances are you're going to be really fatigued on days that you shouldn't be, because basically for like everyone listening and watching, the way it's structured is we have long run, short run, long run, like we're alternating between longer runs and short runs. And what Will has a tendency to do is juggle things around. And so you're probably feeling significantly more fatigued because you might be grouping 2 long runs together. Like last Saturday and Sunday, you did a 19K and then you did a 24K.
Yeah,
precisely.
And like, I guess from my point of view, as in quotation marks, the coach, is you can play around, and this is for the people out there listening. We're putting Will on the spot here, but it's more of a thing. If you're going through a program like this, and you've instilled you've outsourced a coach to program your runs for a block for the marathon, yeah, you can get away with swapping it around here and there a couple times, and maybe once a week's okay. But as soon as you start making a habit of it, then, and let's say you start making a habit of it, you're getting through it okay. You're going to get into the nitty gritty of the program. And like Sean's just said, it's not going to be sustainable. You're going to get to week 8 to 12 where your volume's peaking and you're at the most fatigue and you're trying to play around. And that's when you start dreading workouts. That's when you start, oh, I can't believe this. And then that's either where you fall off completely or you get injured. So we're giving him a hard time now, and Will's about to speak on it, I believe, but it's more from a place of love, because we just want to see Will at the finish line.
Well, achieving his goals. We want to see him work and achieve his goals.
I hadn't previously considered what Cameron had said. I think like there's hints of what everyone said, but the main one that really stuck out to me was what Cam said, and I had not considered that until now. But it's too early of a theory for me to say it's absolutely that. But if I was just to purely go off my gut feeling for now, I'd say it really is a lot of that. Is in the past, just going off natural talent in a lot of ways. I don't know, and I think that actually bleeds into a lot of other areas of my life in a sense, and so that's why I'm thinking it could be that. So very interesting point.
I think
it has for me.
You go.
Oh yeah, so what I was going to say is there was something that both Sean and Nick had said. I forgot the exacts, but what I took away from it was that when you start changing the program around, it starts with one day, and then all of a sudden you start doing it the next day. And as you boys have said, is although I didn't necessarily get injured per se, but perhaps the Saturday and Sunday of me doing these long runs back to back meant my recovery wasn't good, which potentially could have been part of the reason that led me to getting sick. Because I could tell it was a type of sickness that was more happened because I was run down as opposed to getting sick off someone else, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
Well, it's probably CNS fatigued because you've like run a lot and you haven't had adequate rest between the long runs. But also, I guess worth touching on, like without a doubt, as far as like the three of us go, between you, me, and Cam, like you've definitely got the most raw talent out of all of us. So like your I guess ability to show up and do a 3-hour 30 is significantly higher than ours. But also don't forget that the marathon is the great equalizer, and it will humble every single one of us. Like there's a reason that it's such a significant feat. So it's not like like any of us are going to get away with slipping the training and wanting to put in a good time.
Exactly. And even though I'm in my mind for a period there for like half a week, I thought I was maintaining my running training and telling myself, oh yeah, I'm still all good. What actually slacked off was my weight training. And how I first noticed that, I said on last episode, is I looked in the mirror and just like all the muscle definition in my, is it deltoids? Is delts the one on the outside here?
Yeah.
Yeah. My delts just became non-existent. And I realized it's because I was maybe doing 1, maybe 2 sessions a week, and I wasn't even pushing that hard in the gym. So starting...
And my chick wouldn't look at me the same way.
So starting from tomorrow, when I say starting from tomorrow, is like I've already started to write the plan today on what the next 7 days are going to look like, and actually sticking to it. So it'll be good to be able to hold myself accountable, to be able to come on next week and say, yep, Monday I went to the gym, Wednesday went to the gym, I think it's Friday, whatever days we have off from running. But yeah, basically went to the gym on each of those days, because I haven't been able to say that, I think, since we started this block. So that's not a good thing, and that's changing today.
And the key takeaway from what you've just said, Will, is important to just follow the plan to the best of your ability. Otherwise, it just slips away. Yeah. That's all I had to say. I'm not sure if anything anybody else wanted to add anything to that. But if not, let's hear from you, Cam. It's been a big week. Consistency is king in your world.
Yeah, I mean, as Will mentioned before, I definitely haven't been feeling good this week. I've had bouts of nausea. I thought I was getting a throat infection, which I'm actually prone to throat infections. I usually get 1 or 2 a year. I thought I was getting one, and then the last few times I've got one, actually I won't show the medication that I'm on, but I found a medication that that really helps me kind of curb it. So every time I get stressed or I get worn down, I usually get a throat infection. And that's what almost happened, say Sunday, Monday night. And then, yeah, I think Tuesday morning I woke up after a pretty rough Monday night, and I messaged you guys in the group chat and I said, hey, like, sinuses are like just terrible, hacking up phlegm, just not to be too visceral, but I was pretty sick, but it was a head cold. It wasn't in my chest. And then I Googled it. Again, not medical advice. Go and talk to a professional. But for me, what I found was that I Googled it and it said, as long as it's not in your chest, you're okay. And then I spoke to you guys and you said, see how you feel. Go for the run, see how you feel. And I ran, and what is really funny is I felt mostly okay. I felt sick, but I felt the same if I was sitting down to if I was running. So when I was running, I actually felt okay. Then I looked at my pace, and my pace was right on what it usually is. So my aerobic runs have been kind of around the 5:30, 5:40 range, which were good. And then what's been really weird this week, and I don't know if it's because maybe it's getting a bit colder, but I expected while I was sick for my heart rate to go up. But then what's actually happened is that my heart rate's gone down about 10 beats per minute. I mean, yeah, about 10 beats per minute. So I'm looking at, say, when I'm holding a 6 minute per K, which my heart rate used to be around, say, the 150, it's now sitting at the 140. So all in all, there's been 3 runs this week that I've been putting on my shoes, or I've woken up in the morning and I've just said, I'm actually not going to do this run. I'm drawing the line. I'm not running. It's bad for me. And then I look at myself in the mirror and I go, I'm going to go running, and I go put my shoes on and I go running, and I've been fine. Every run I've finished, I've been glad that I did it. And I haven't necessarily felt worse afterwards than I did before.
Interesting. That's interesting, because I think you asked us, I'm not sure if this is what you were referring to at the start when you said you asked us, but I think you said, oh, should you run when you're sick? And in my humble opinion, actually, I probably shouldn't put it out there, but like, you just don't want to know what I've done while I've been sick, in terms of athletics performance. Pause. Yeah. So, yeah, you don't want to know what type of training I've done when I've been sick, but I do have a rule, and I told you, Cam, I probably shouldn't share it to the public. Yeah.
If it's all
not medical advice.
If it's all anecdotal, if it's all anecdotal, it doesn't matter. Let's be honest, we have David Goggins out. We have David Goggins out here giving possibly the most dangerous advice. So
yeah, that's fair.
Okay,
but I do want to be honest. We aren't professionals, and obviously, especially when it comes to medical stuff and feeling sick, there definitely is a time where there is a line to be drawn. If you're going to go running and you're going to pass out, throw up, whatever it may be, don't go for the run. If you need to go to the hospital, don't go for a run. But I think that what happened with me is that I was sick, and that made me not feel like running even more than I usually don't. And I went running anyway, and it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be while I was sick. And it didn't affect me as much as I thought it would.
Yeah. I was just going to say, hey guys, it's actually, no, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, moving on now. So Sean, you've been up there quietly waiting. You've been up there waiting patiently to, I guess, share with us what you've been up to this week.
Yeah, I mean, this week I will have all runs except one done, just because I haven't done this much volume in a while with the 2 weeks off. So, but other than that, like, thoroughly enjoying getting back to running. And also a new thing that I've discovered that I'm enjoying is running on the treadmill. I think because of how the days are going at the moment with being a new parent, I kind of enjoy the mental challenge of just standing on a treadmill and doing long distances without enjoying the view or the weather, and just kind of dialing in and running purely for the sake of running. Which also after last podcast, I went out for my long run, which was 20 Ks, and I did 14 Ks of that around a 500 meter track, which was just
Crazy.
Continuing on the experiment of just dialing my mental state into running purely for running, and being able to enjoy just the process of running and not having to fall into any excuse of the weather's not good, or the view's not good, or just the vibes aren't good. So that's been really good. After this podcast as well, I'm going to go straight to the gym and put 24 Ks down on the treadmill.
Let's go. That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. Sweet. So it looks like we've all three of us, or all four of us, have done a fair bit. I guess my week has gone as per usual. I think I've hit all my sessions this week. Today, especially, it's Sunday today, so I had a long run this morning. But then I've just got back. Like, I was late to the start of this podcast to film this because I was running. I'll give him a shout out now. Is my mate Josh. He's running 100 Ks. I think he should be done by now, but I ran the 80 to 90 kilometer points with him, and he's running 100 Ks for his mum who has dementia. So he's trying to raise some money there. So shout out to him. I said I'd give him a shout out. I think running 42 Ks is a long way, but running 100 Ks on a whim is unbelievable. So I guess a bit removed from myself and my training week, and yeah, shout out to him. Fantastic. Okay. Coming up now, we've got the weekly topic of discussion. We've had some off-camera, I guess, pre-discussions about this, and we're going to get into it now. Is gear for beginners. And I think we usually write down a run sheet on what we want to talk about, but due to time and I think how this discussion will go, I've kind of left it up to interpretation. So I've got a basic structure in my head of what this is going to look like, and we're going to start from the head and work our way all the way. Start from the head and work all the way down to our shoes. So I think the shoes is a big one if you're starting out and you don't know where to go. But headwear, it may seem like an afterthought. We've got two folks here with hats on. Shout out to the running brands out there that make good hats. And
shout out
starting with the head. Hats.
Shout out heads for
wear a hat. Pro tips. Next, glasses. Cover those peepers, folks. Gotta fuck.
I mean,
are you gonna talk about brands or anything, or are you just gonna be like,
shoes? Gotta have them.
Wear a t-shirt.
Well, no, I think
we can.
Unless you're Sean, if you're shirt off Sean, it's t-shirts. No t-shirts is compulsory.
Okay, I don't know where this is going to, like, I don't know where you're going to cut this, Sean, but I think we're talking about head to toe gear, and we're not talking about steroids here. So we're talking about headwear. We're going to start from the top, work our way down to our feet. Headwear, I think we're just talking, had a bit of the pre-discussion in the middle of the podcast, and we don't have to tell you to wear headwear when it's sunny. It's going to protect you from the sun, blah, blah, blah. But the key things are with headwear and running is you want headwear that's breathable and headwear with ventilation. One thing, Sean's got it up there. If you're watching this at home, if you can actually see it visually, headwear with either the straps or the little clip things. And the reason for this, because it's all well and good to just say, oh, go buy these ones. But the reason for this is when you start washing Velcro hats, because you should be washing your hats after every run, otherwise they start to stink, is if you start washing hats especially the Velcro ones, the Velcro starts wearing off and they last about 5 wears. So get the ones with the little clipping things that Sean just showed, or the ones with the brands out there that do them. I think a Fractal, I think that's what Sean's got on his head. CL, I don't know how to say it. Saw, make a good one. What's that one you've got, Cam?
I was actually trying to find it just before. I think it's Runner,
Party
but I
People
could be wrong. RUNNR.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one as well. So yeah, if you're looking for hats, beginners out there, don't go buy your Velcro one from the local sporting goods store. Go get yourself a proper running hat. You'll thank yourself after 50 to 100 wears. Now, hot topic, everyone who thinks they know what running is and is showing up to your local run club will have a pair of these on, even though it's 6 a.m. in the morning and it's not even sunny. So, yep, we'll just put some on. We've got glasses. Now, glasses are not only good for keeping the sun out of your eyes, but
they're good at dropping your pace by about 30 seconds.
That too.
They count as a performance-enhancing drug.
They also make you look good. And what I've noticed with running glasses is if you look good, you run good and you do good. Queensland boys aren't liking the jokes up there. There's a bit of delay.
But if there's, like, I've gone and dropped a bag on these sunglasses, which are Oakley's, and I just did that purely out of, I guess, that's what I saw everyone else have. If I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have just gone and got some other generic brand for a quarter or half the price that just has UV rating. Although I like these, you could get, there's a lot of other brands which are directly copying. So don't feel like you need to drop $300+ AUD just to get a pair of glasses. I'm pretty sure something for quarter of the price will be suffice.
Jump in, Sean.
I got my glasses from the cheap rack at Rebel Sport for $45, and they do exactly the same thing that Oakley's do.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is make you look cool.
And I'm not sure if this is something. This might be beyond the beginners who are listening to this podcast, but something you do want is with your glasses, you do want them to be comfortable. I think that's probably the main thing, is that they're comfortable enough to wear on your face for 3+ hours. That's probably the number one.
Is it just my Wi-Fi or did Nick's Wi-Fi just cut out?
Yeah, he cut out for a sec.
Okay, so that last
do I
bit
need to
again,
start
Nick?
again? Yeah,
just that last 15 seconds.
Yeah, so what I was saying was with the glasses is you want them, this might be only applicable to people who are a bit above the beginner stage and more amateurs, I guess you could say, with running, is you want something that's comfortable. The sunglasses need to be comfortable and you need to be able to wear them for longer than, I guess, 3.5 hours without feeling like they're a hindrance to your running. Yeah. Cam, you're good? You're frozen there? Oh, yeah, he's moving. He's moving.
Yeah, no, I'm back.
Sweet. Okay.
Switch.
So next up is, look, we were joking about having no shirts. I think Sean's going no shirt for the marathon. Is that right?
I was going to, but apparently it's frowned upon. So I'll go shirtless until race day.
The kits might come off. They might come off. We'll see how hot it is.
Yeah, I think it depends how hot it is. Something just to briefly mention for running races is usually when you get your bib. I know historically it was always that you would put your bib on with a with just a bobby pin, but I'm starting to see that more and more brands are coming out with these things that are like these double-sided clips that means that you don't have to put a hole in your running shirt. So just mentioning that, I could go grab it.
Sean was actually, why he's not wearing a shirt, why he is wearing a shirt is because he didn't want to bobby pin the bib to his nipples. He heard about that and was just like, nah, not for me.
Ouchie.
Body piercing.
But in all seriousness, one thing that you want to look for with racing shirts, and I don't know, I guess we can't speak on a female side of things, but is breathability. That's one thing, and the color. So if you're doing a summer race where it's going to be hot, you don't want to be wearing dark colors. You want to be wearing something light, blue, white, etc. That's just a little thought there. So take that with a grain of salt. Next up, we're talking about shorts. Shorts, we think we touched on a couple weeks ago. Color, pink, that's mandatory. But besides that, I'm trialing right now with inner lining. I think Cam's a big fan of shorts with inner lining.
Yeah.
Is that Sean as well?
Can't run without them.
Whereas
just a random comment to make as well. I've been told, I've been told by females that that the tights are a bit zesty, and that like I'm saying, like the Nike Pro tights, which I wear, are a bit zesty as opposed to wearing the inner lining ones. Are allegedly quite popular and seen as quite favorable for men to wear and seen as good looking. So take that how you will.
I think if having a bulge
out, the inner liners are attractive, or the Nike.
No. So inner lining, like shorts, like the Lululemon ones that you guys wear, or the LSKD ones which I wear, they're seen as like cool. They're seen as like good looking. Wearing Nike Pro tights, like I do half the time, is seen as a bit zesty and not so cool.
Yeah, nobody wants to see the bulge.
Well, not you at least.
Paddle the bulge.
No,
at the run
nobody
clubs,
wants to see the bulge.
I think especially like the tights with the no shirt, like that is a look for sure. That's a statement.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I do that all the time.
No. So I told you what it was. It was after. If you're watching this, go back and watch our intro. And there's a part in the intro. I'm not sure if it's the new intro or the original one, where we're running as a group. And it was when I saw the video of me wearing the tights with no shirt that I realized it was not a look. It just looks like a muffin top, and it's just never a good look. So I learned it.
So what you're actually saying is you just got to have a good rig. You got to have a good rig and be an elite runner to wear the half tights.
Nah. Just
if you have a good rig, you can wear anything.
I disagree.
If you've got a good rig,
appreciate it, mate.
I disagree. I think the tights just look very, very odd without a shirt. That's just a personal opinion.
Go, Sean. I'm waiting to hear what you're about to say.
Oh, I was just going to crack another joke, but anyway, I think like if we're going to specific shorts dropping, like I wear the lined Lululemon 4-inch shorts, and we were discussing off the podcast like why I choose Lululemon, and it's just the superior brand. That's all I have to say.
He's just on his hot girl summer. That's what it is.
What it is,
exactly.
It's because girls know if you wear Lululemon that you make money, because those things cost an arm and a leg.
Oh fuck! If they only knew
how much
how
Nike
money
shorts
I make.
Oh, they're about the same.
Well, that's it. Cam comes in. He's got the paid Strava, the Lululemon pants, the Apple Watch.
Well, that's why I don't have any money, because I spend it all on Lululemon.
Refinance the home just to
while I sit in my apartment that overlooks the Gold Coast. I guess never mind. Just ignore that.
Mine just cut out. You just cracked the joke and it cut out. Anyway,
it's a green screen. That's why.
This is a perfect opportunity for.
It's a paid actor. The background's a paid actor. Anyway,
I was going to say, this is a perfect opportunity. If anyone from Lululemon gets a hold of this, please send us some shorts. We're looking for our team uniform for Noosa. So we're undecided at this point. So anyone who wants to send us stuff, we're more than happy to look at how it would look. Blah blah blah. I can't talk. Here we go. Anyway, moving on. Before we get to the shoes, let's talk about socks, because I see people out there. I see beginner runners out there with their Nike. What do you call? What are those Nikes? The Nike Crew socks, cotton socks, and it looks silly. What are you doing with yourself? The other thing is do you not care about blisters? Anyway, Will's going to touch on what I'm about to say, because if I keep going, I'm going to punch my phone and the podcast will be over. This episode, that is.
Well, I've got a comment to make and I've got a question to open up the discussion. So I currently wear, I think they're nylon socks is the material, and the actual brand that I buy from or have been buying from, I actually think they're cycling socks, as in road cycling socks. So they're very thin, very lightweight. And I think with my easy day shoes, which we'll get into in about 10, 15 minutes, or sorry, 5-10 minutes.
Probably 5 minutes.
It's fine. It's fine. But I've noticed every single time that I've worn those socks with race shoes that I've ended up with very severe blisters. So this is where I want to open up the discussion to Nick, which is, are there such thing as, I guess, thicker nylon socks, or what socks do you recommend to wear with race shoes so that you don't get blisters?
I think it's all trial and error. I think we'll touch on a key thing is you want your socks. If you're running more than 5Ks, you want all your socks to be nylon. There's good brands out there, and it's all trial and error. So first marathon I wore the brand Features. Look, and if you're running a marathon, your toes and toenails are going to come off, or they're going to end up, your feet aren't going to be looking the same once you finish that marathon. So it's more about what can you do to prevent your whole foot needing to be chopped off. And the first marathon I ran were with the Features socks, which did their job. The second marathon I ran were with...
Internet's cutting. Your internet's cutting. Your internet just cut.
Yeah, so the first marathon I wore Feature. The second marathon I wore the Nike Light Strike Pro socks. Usually you can pick them up in any Nike store, but I trial and error with a whole bunch of socks, and I seem to be able to run in anything as long as it's nylon and not get blisters. But I think that's more just me developing my skin, getting used to running as many Ks as I do. It's probably better for the other guys to talk. Let's go to Cam here about what socks you wear and whether you found a difference between if you started wearing cotton socks to begin with and whether you moved to nylon or whether you've always worn nylon socks.
I bet he can hear us, but his Wi-Fi is cut.
Okay, let's go to Sean. Sean, tell us about the socks you wear.
Start of the program, I was wearing cotton socks and I got blisters, and I just happened to have some surprise, and I just happened to have a bunch of nylon socks laying around that my mum had bought me for Christmas years ago. So that's all I wear.
Shout out, Mum.
Who complains about getting socks and undies for Christmas?
Oh, there he is.
Cameron's legit, back. Like
as long as they're nylon socks, Mum.
Yeah. Other than just the shoes and like one pair of shorts, the shirts I've been running in are old gym shirts that I've cut the sleeves off, like socks that I've had laying around, and I think like for everyone listening, like if you're just getting into running, if you have a version, like a simple version of anything, just start with that and then upgrade as you go.
Yeah, and I
think if you're running less than like 5Ks, you can kind of just wear anything.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was going to circle back once we'd finished with everything and say, but it's probably good you've brought it up now, Sean, and you probably will agree or could, I guess, add more into what I'm about to say is, as a beginner, you really don't need anything. You need a pair of shoes, which we'll get into in just a sec, and that's it. You don't even need a watch. You can download Strava on your phone and it will track your runs. You don't need any of that, all the gimmicks and gizmos. And that's, I guess, what I love about running is anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. You can step out your door. It doesn't cost you any money. And all you need...
Your Wi-Fi is cut.
Anyway, so you step out the door. All you need to do is step out your door and have a good attitude, and you can start running. Like I said, you don't need all the gizmos. But you cut out there, Cam. What were you going to say about the socks?
Yeah, so what I was going to say is, I definitely don't know it down to like the fabrics and the thread count, and maybe like you guys do, because all the socks that I've got, I've been gifted. But all I can say is that the difference between a quality pair of socks and a pair of socks that, say, you get from Vans or Foot Locker or Nike or whatever that may be, I can just say, like, just buy one good pair and you'll notice the difference. Like, your feet will thank you.
Cam's feet to him after he runs in nice socks. Thank you, Cam.
Not at the moment, because my toenails are more like, kill me.
There's something that I've been there's something which I've been exploring, like as random thoughts on my recent runs. Because if you go back a few weeks ago to when we were all together, I mentioned that I was going to start doing more runs, just not wearing headphones and all that. So I'm stuck with my thoughts. Well, my thoughts revolve around the exact same thing every single time, and it's about all the different pain
Why am I
points.
not running more?
Yeah, exactly. Why am I not running consistently? That was a good one. But what like a common thought is about like different types of socks and all that, but specifically the issue that I'm having is that my toes kind of rub together and I end up with blisters in between my toes. And so I know that there's one solution, which is one of Nick's running mates. I think it's Chris. He showed me that for his training in his marathons, he wears these like rubber toe spacers. They look, for those who've ever been with their girlfriend to get their pedicure done, it's like they look very similar to the spacer things that they put between your toes before they paint the nails.
Yeah, so that the paint doesn't like stick your toes together, so they spread out your toes.
I know. I was doing that because Will's going to get his toes done.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh no, I've definitely had a pet pedicure. I highly recommend it. I think us four should get it done after the marathon.
I walk in there and they go.
Cam can get his black toenail painted pink again.
Toenails.
Anyway, Nick's internet cut out, so whatever.
I was going to say, I walk in there and they tell me to leave because my internet's fucked.
Anyway, so the two things I just want to summarize when it comes to socks is I'm dead set considering buying toe socks so that I can avoid this issue of my toes rubbing together, because currently every single time I'm having to wrap individually each of my toes before I start running just to stop the friction issues I'm having. So
that's not the only thing that's creating friction.
They don't call me the backwards kangaroo for nothing.
I'll show myself out.
Oh my god. Anyway, jumping into sneakers or runners. I think if we could summarize this entire segment, it's save all your money from up the top, your hat, your glasses, your shirt, your shorts, and all that. Save all your money on that. You don't need to drop a bag on that, because the two places or two things you should be putting your funds towards are the shoes and the socks, because really that's where the rubber meets the road, pun not intended.
And hang on, Will.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And that's actually a good thing you've said, because that's what we're talking about next week. We've gone through gear today, and next week we're going to talk exclusively about shoes, because we've kind of I thought this conversation was going to be 5 minutes about the gear head to toe, but we've seemed to have extended it out, which is actually a good thing. Hopefully we've instilled in everyone who's listening some fantastic knowledge. One little gem I'm going to quickly drop now is if you're going to free ball it, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that. But if you like wearing underwear when you run, one little tip is to buy the microfiber, because they're more sweat repellent or sweat resistant. And it's something I've traded the cotton for, and it's done wonders for me. Sean?
Uniqlo Airism undies. They're great. But no, the good thing about the good thing about running compared to anything else, like if you're doing the gym or if you're riding a bike or if you're doing any other sport, there is actually a significant like barrier to entry, especially when it comes around like mindset. And like if you're walking into the gym for the first time, you're going to feel awkward as hell. But anyone can find any pair of runners that they have sitting in their house and step outside and run any distance. And like, that's more important than spending $300 on a decent pair of easy run shoes. Like, try get a few weeks in of short runs in any pair of running shoes you've got laying around, and then consider upgrading.
Yeah,
Or
exactly,
What do you
yeah.
feel barefoot?
like for example's sake, I today ran past a bloke that was dead set running in white Air Force Ones, and at first I was a bit confused. But so when I ran up next to him, I was a bit concerned, because to agree with Sean's point is I'm pretty sure everyone has, or at least most people would have listening to this podcast would have at least a proper pair of running trainers, which are naturally going to be very different to a flat pair of shoes like Air Force Ones, basketball shoes, Converse, and all that different stuff. Like, common sense does need to prevail a bit. But yeah, I ran up next to him and I asked him, like, oh, so how long have you been running for? And he had told me this was his first week running and all that. And like, as we were chatting, he asked me about the shoes I was wearing at the time, and I said, hey, don't bother with these exact ones. I actually recommended the website which I'd sent you boys to go get a pair of Nimbus 25s and things, for example's sake. And yeah, he thanked me, continued on his way with his feet clonky on the ground. But shout out the Air Force Ones.
When I'm out running, I was just gonna say, like, when I'm out running, the majority of people that I see running are just like in a normal t-shirt, like what any of you guys are wearing right now, for anyone that's watching, like a normal pair of gym shorts and the most basic pair of shoes. But at least they're the ones who are out there getting it done. Like, if running, you really don't need anything.
For sure.
Yeah, it's only a fashion statement. It's only a fashion statement when you start going along to run clubs, and it's less about running and more about who looks the hottest. That's a joke, by the way.
Yeah. No, I mean that. Yeah, it's true though.
For sure. Sweet. Well, we're
getting controversial here on the finish line formula.
We're going to get more into it next week about the shoes and details and specifics, and basically we're going to run through what a daily trainer is, how each day should look with a different shoe, when you should start upgrading your shoes, because like we've just said, you don't need all the bells and whistles. But for the people that are listening to this and they want to be that person with some idea and all the gear, this is going to be the podcast for them, because there's a lot of people out there that have all the gear and no idea, and we want to instill, I guess, some idea into people so we're not laughing at them from the outside. And with that, we're going to wrap things up. It's been a great last hour, 45 minutes to an hour with you all. It's always a pleasure sitting down with my fellow Noosa Marathon boys. Just give everyone a last sign off. We've got Will, give us a wave, Cam, and Sean, and I'm Nick. I didn't introduce myself at the start, but I'm Nick. And you can go follow us at Finish Line Formula. Main place to find us is Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And we'll be back again here next week. So let's get out with the outro right now, which we don't actually have. We're just going to end it. So see ya.